My husband forgot his watch at home. Hours later, I got a call from a hotel receptionist. "Mr. Carter, you left your watch in your room," she said. I smirked and replied, "Actually, I'm Mrs. Carter. And my husband doesn't have a room." That night, I placed his watch on his dinner plate, along with a printed reservation receipt. I'm a 42 female. Been married to Kyle, 45 male, for 17 years. We live in Scottsdale, Arizona. 2 kids, 16 and 13. I work part-time as a yoga instructor and manage most things at home. Kyle's in commercial real estate. Makes good money, always on the go, lots of lunches, dinners, meetings, networking, you know how that goes. Things between us haven't been perfect for a while, but I never thought this would happen. Last Thursday started like any other day. Kyle was rushing out the door like always, half-shaved, shirt untucked, tossing toast into his mouth while texting. Said he had a breakfast meeting at the Henry with a new client. I wasn't even really listening. I was feeding our dog, checking the kids' school emails, and thinking about my 10 a.m. yoga class. As soon as the door slammed shut, I noticed something on the kitchen island, his Apple Watch. Not unusual. He's forgetful. Leaves his wallet, his watch, his keys all over the house. I picked it up, thinking maybe I'd drop it off later or just keep it until he got home. A few hours went by. I taught my class, came home, folded laundry. Around 2:15 p.m., my phone rang. Unknown number. I almost let it go to voicemail, but something told me to answer. Receptionist, "Hi, is this Mr. Carter?" Me, "No, this is Mrs. Carter." Receptionist, "Oh, I'm so sorry. I'm calling from the Royal Palms Resort. We just found your watch in room 312 and wanted to return it." Room 312. At the Royal Palms Resort and Spa. I blinked. I felt like the air got sucked out of the room. Me, "You said room 312? Receptionist, "Yes, ma'am. You must have left your watch behind after checking out." I didn't answer right away. My hand was gripping the phone so tight my knuckles went white. Me, calm voice, "Actually, I'm his wife. And my husband doesn't have a hotel room." Dead silence on her end. Receptionist, "Oh. I see. I'm sorry for the confusion." Me, "It's fine. I'll come by to pick it up." Hung up. I just sat there staring at nothing. Watch still in my hand. His watch. The one he never goes a day without unless he forgets it. Except now, I knew he didn't forget it. He took it off. I got in my car and drove to the hotel. I've been there before. We celebrated our 10-year anniversary there. That's the part that burned the most. I parked and walked in like I belonged there. The woman at the front desk smiled when she saw me. Young. Blonde. Nervous. She handed me the watch in a little velvet pouch. I thanked her and, without even blinking, said, "Would it be possible to get a receipt for room 312? We're submitting for reimbursement." She hesitated. I smiled. She printed it. And that's when everything made sense. And the printed receipt. Then I waited. He came home around 6:30 p.m. Casual. Loosened tie. Fake smile. "Kyle, wow, this looks amazing, babe." He walked toward the table, then stopped. His eyes locked on the plate. The watch. The receipt. He froze. Didn't move. Didn't blink. I stayed seated. Calm. No emotion. Me, "Forget something?" He swallowed. Took a step back. "Kyle, Dana. I can explain." Me, "Don't." He opened his mouth like he was going to keep going, then stopped. We stood there for what felt like years. Then he sat down across from me. Still didn't say a word. I didn't touch the food. He didn't either. Me, "Who is she?" He looked down. Whispered something I didn't catch. Me, "Say it louder." Kyle, "Maya." I didn't recognize the name. Me, "How long?" Kyle, "A few months." I nodded. Me, "Is it just her?" Kyle, "What?" Me, "Or are there others?" Silence. Then, Kyle, "Just her. I swear. It's not like that. It wasn't planned. We met at a networking event in Phoenix. She's in marketing. We just started talking. I didn't mean for anything to happen," I laughed. It came out sharp. Ugly. Me, "You didn't mean to end up in a hotel room at 9 a.m. on a Thursday?" He looked down. Kyle, it was a mistake. It doesn't mean anything. I wanted to scream. I wanted to throw the plate at the wall. But I didn't. It meant enough to lie to me. He didn't answer. It meant enough to take off your watch. He started to say something again, but I got up and walked to the kitchen. My hands were shaking. I stood at the sink and just stared out the window. I heard him moving behind me. The scrape of the chair. His footsteps. He came up behind me and put a hand on my shoulder. I stepped away. Don't. He nodded. I turned around and looked him dead in the eye. I don't know what I'm going to do yet. But we're not sweeping this under the rug. He nodded again, like a child being scolded. Then he walked out of the kitchen. Upstairs, probably to the guest room. I stayed there at the sink for a long time. I don't know what happens next. I haven't told anyone. Not my sister, not my best friend, not even my kids. But I know this, the man I married 17 years ago? He died the moment that Receptionist said the words room 312. What happens now? I honestly don't know. That night, I didn't sleep. I lay in bed staring at the ceiling. Kyle stayed in the guest room. I could hear him walking around, pacing. Once or twice, I heard him stop outside our bedroom door. But he didn't come in. I didn't want him to. The next morning, I made coffee like I always do. Got the kids ready for school like nothing happened. I didn't want them to know. Not yet. I wasn't ready to explain anything. Kyle came down late. No tie. Looked like he hadn't slept either. His eyes were puffy. He opened his mouth to say something, but I walked out the front door before he could. I sat in my car, parked in our driveway, and stared at my phone. I still had the receipt. Still had his watch. I opened his Apple Watch. No passcode. Kyle never locked anything. He always said we didn't keep secrets. What a joke. I started scrolling. Messages. He deleted almost everything. But he forgot the part that Apple saves, notifications. Her name popped up again and again, Maya B. Flirty messages. Emojis. Calendar reminders labeled lunch with MB that didn't match his work calendar. There was one message that just said, next Thursday. Same room? That was sent 2 days before the hotel visit. So no, it wasn't a mistake. It was planned. It was routine. That's when the numb feeling turned into pure fire. I got out of the car and walked back inside. Kyle was in the kitchen holding a coffee mug like it weighed 100 pounds. I didn't speak. I placed the watch down on the table again, this time with the screen lit up. I tapped on the message. Same room? He looked like he wanted the floor to open up and swallow him. A mistake? Nothing. How long has this been going on? He finally spoke. Kyle, 6 months. I laughed again. Same sharp sound. Same hollow feeling. So every Thursday, while I'm teaching yoga and taking care of your kids, you're renting out hotel rooms with her? Kyle, not every Thursday. Just a few. Shut up. He closed his mouth. Tight. I want her number. Kyle, what? I want to talk to her. He stared at me like I'd lost my mind. Kyle, no. Dana, please. Don't drag her into this. It's my fault. Leave her out of it. She dragged herself into this when she slept with a married man. I didn't wait for his permission. I went back to the watch, scrolled down, and there it was, Maya's number saved under MB. I texted from my own phone, Hi Maya. This is Dana Carter. Kyle's wife. I think we should talk. 3 dots. Then nothing. Then again, 3 dots. No reply. 5 minutes passed. Then she called me. I answered on speaker. Maya, hi. I didn't know he was married. Her voice was soft, nervous. I said nothing. Maya, again I swear. He told me he was divorced. Said you lived in another state. That you were separated for over a year. I looked at Kyle. His face went pale. Did he wear a ring? Maya, no. I noticed the tan line, but he said he took it off because it was a painful reminder. I believed him. How long have you two been seeing each other? She hesitated. Maya, since June. At first it was just casual. Then it became more. More. What does more mean? Maya, continued. He said he wanted to start over. That you were toxic. That you only stayed together for the kids. I turned the speakerphone off. I looked at Kyle. Me, toxic? He didn't answer. Me, I gave up everything for this family. I cleaned your mother's bedpans when she got sick. I gave up promotions, vacations, my own name. And you told some girl I'm toxic? He didn't even try to deny it. He just sat down and buried his head in his hands. I should have left right then. But I didn't. I wanted to know more. I opened his laptop while he sat there like a ghost. Emails. Hotel confirmations. One was from Valentine's Day. Valentine's Day. I was home with the flu. He brought me soup. Said he had a client dinner. He came home late. He had been with her. I walked upstairs, grabbed a suitcase, and started throwing clothes into it. Not mine. His. He followed me. Kyle, please, Dana, don't do this. Let's talk. Let's figure this out. I made a mistake, no. You made a series of decisions. He reached out to touch me and I shoved his hand away. I was shaking so hard I couldn't zip the suitcase. Then the kids walked in. My daughter, Mom? What's going on? I froze. I looked at Kyle. I could see the panic on his face. We weren't ready for this part. But now they were in the middle of it. I took a breath. Go upstairs. I need to talk to your dad. They looked scared. I hated that. I hated him for making me the one to say it. Once they left, I turned to him again. You need to leave. Now. He didn't argue. He picked up the suitcase and left without another word. I stood there in the hallway, alone. Then my phone buzzed. It was Maya. A second text had come through. I think we both got played. Then another, there's something I didn't tell you. Can we meet? I stared at Maya's message, there's something I didn't tell you. Can we meet? At first, I didn't respond. My hands were shaking. I wasn't sure if I wanted more truth, not that day. But something about her message felt different. She wasn't just trying to apologize. She had information. I texted back, where? She replied within seconds. Sip Coffee and Beer House. Tempe. 11 a.m.? I didn't even ask Kyle. He was already gone, probably at his office pretending nothing had happened. Or maybe in her inbox trying to clean up the mess. I got in my car and drove to the cafe the next morning. I saw her right away. Maya wasn't what I expected. She looked like someone out of a corporate newsletter, mid-30s, sharp blazer, simple makeup, hair tied back. She didn't look like the type to destroy a family, and somehow, that made it worse. She stood when she saw me. Maya, Dana? I nodded. We sat. No small talk. She looked nervous. Her hand was wrapped tightly around her coffee cup. Maya, I didn't come here to fight. I really didn't know he was married. I know. You said that. Maya, there's more. I didn't know if I should tell you. But after our call, I couldn't sleep. I waited. She opened her phone and pulled up her calendar app. Maya, he wasn't just meeting me on Thursdays. He came by my place almost every Sunday morning. My stomach dropped. Sunday mornings. That's when Kyle started going to early gym sessions, before our family breakfasts. He always came back sweaty, towel slung around his neck, saying, I pushed myself hard today. God. How many times? Maya, at least twice a month. Sometimes more. She scrolled to a different screen. Maya, also, this. She held up her phone. An email thread. Subject line, lease application, 1 bed, 1 bath sender, Kyle Carter. The thread showed Kyle inquiring about an apartment in Phoenix last month. He asked for early move-in. Gave his personal email. Mentioned he was transitioning out of a difficult situation. Was this for you too? Maya looked horrified. Maya, no. He said he was moving for work. I thought he was getting a new listing downtown. He never said anything about us living together. I couldn't breathe. All this time, he was preparing for a second life. While still sleeping in my bed. Still kissing our kids goodnight. Still calling me his wife. Then she said something that made everything worse. Maya, I found out something else, by accident. She reached into her purse and pulled out a folded piece of paper. It was a printout. From a background check website. Maya, I was looking into a potential client and decided to run a search on Kyle too. Just for fun. She slid the paper across the table. Maya, there's a woman in California. Her name is Rachel. She filed a restraining order against Kyle 5 years ago. Temporary. It expired after 6 months. I stared at the paper. What? Maya, the reason listed was stalking and manipulation. It was dismissed, but the paperwork is still online. I shook my head. I'd never heard that name in my life. I'd never heard anything about a restraining order. No. That can't be right. We were together. 5 years ago? We were planning our vow renewal. He was flying to San Diego for real estate conferences. Maya raised her eyebrows. Maya, that's where she lives. The room felt like it tilted. You think he was seeing her too? Maya, I don't know. But I think she was part of a pattern. And I think we're not the first. I sat back. I had come to confront a cheater. But now I was looking at something worse. A liar. A manipulator. Someone who built lies so carefully that even the other women didn't know about each other. Maya leaned forward. Maya, I called the leasing office from the email. I pretended to be his assistant. They told me he already signed the lease. She pulled up a screenshot of a lease confirmation. Start date, next Tuesday. He was planning to move in next week. While still sleeping in our house. While telling me we could work through it. I couldn't process it. Thank you. For telling me. Maya, you don't deserve this. Neither do your kids. She hesitated, then added, Maya, if you ever want to compare timelines. I kept a journal. Notes. Photos. She wasn't just a random affair. He'd been deep in both our lives. I left the cafe and sat in my car with the door open, head in my hands. My phone buzzed. It was Kyle. Text, can we talk tonight? I want to fix this. Then another, I'm going to end it with Maya. I choose you. Too late. I didn't reply. Instead, I opened my laptop when I got home and looked up Rachel in California. I found her on Facebook. Older post. Her profile was private, but one post was public. To anyone who's ever been lied to so well you questioned your own sanity, you're not alone. Don't ignore the red flags. I sent her a message. Hi Rachel. I think we need to talk. I'm Kyle Carter's wife. Rachel replied 2 days later. Her message was short, I was wondering when someone else would reach out. I'll talk. I've been waiting for this. We set up a Zoom call. She didn't want to meet in person, said it was too much. She was in her early 40s. Dark hair. Looked tired, but calm. Rachel, you're his wife? Yeah. 17 years. She sighed. Rachel. We dated on and off for 3 years. He told me he was divorced. I found out he was still married when I ran into one of his coworkers at a conference in San Diego. I asked if he was dating anyone. The guy laughed and said Kyle was married with 2 kids. That broke me. I sat there, silent. Rachel, he lied. Constantly. Manipulated me. Got weird when I pulled away. Showed up at my work, left things at my door. It got scary. That's why I filed the restraining order. He backed off after that. I never heard from him again. I told her everything. About Maya. About the watch. About the hotel room. She nodded like she already knew how it would end. Rachel, he always keeps secrets until the very last minute. Before the call ended, she said one thing that stuck with me. Rachel, you're not crazy. Don't let him make you feel like this is your fault. I confronted Kyle the next day. I didn't tell him about Rachel yet. I wanted to see what he'd say on his own. I invited him to the house. Told him the kids would be out. I set one chair across from mine in the living room. No food. No wine. Just facts. He walked in with a bouquet of flowers. I didn't even look at them. Put those down. We need to talk. He sat. How long were you planning to keep this going? He didn't say anything. You signed a lease in Phoenix. You were going to leave. You just didn't tell us. Still nothing. You told Maya I'm toxic. You told Rachel I was out of state. You lied to 3 women at once. His face finally changed. Kyle, wait. You spoke to Rachel? There it was. Me, yeah. I did. She told me everything. Including the restraining order. Kyle, that was blown out of proportion. Me, stop. Just stop. You've been lying for years. You've cheated. You've made me feel like I was going insane. Like I was overthinking. Like I was being dramatic. He opened his mouth. Me, shut up and listen. He froze. Me, you had choices. And every time you had the chance to come clean, you made another mess. You made me carry this marriage while you played house with other women. He finally spoke. Kyle, I didn't know how to stop. I didn't want to lose everything. Me, you did lose everything. You just didn't notice until now. Then I heard a voice. From the stairs. It was our daughter. She had come back early. She had been listening. Daughter, is it true? Kyle turned pale. Kyle, sweetheart, daughter, you cheated on mom? More than once? She started crying. I stood up and walked over to her. Held her tight. Kyle tried to come closer. Me, don't. Just go. He looked like he was going to collapse. He left. Not a word. Just walked out. The kids cried. I cried. Maya stopped replying. Rachel sent one last message, I hope you find peace. I never did. Kyle tried calling. Texting. He left a voicemail every day for a week. I didn't respond. He showed up at our son's soccer game the next Saturday. I told him to leave. One of the other moms, Jess, walked up and stood next to me. She didn't know all the details, but enough had leaked out. She whispered, Jess, you're not alone. Everyone's talking. We've got your back. That made me cry harder than anything. Not out of shame. Out of relief. 3 weeks later, I filed for separation. I didn't even wait for the paperwork to finalize. I changed the locks, changed the bank passwords, changed my entire routine. He asked for therapy. I said no. He asked if we could do it for the kids. I told him he should have thought of the kids before the hotel rooms, the secret apartment, and the second lives. The night I signed the papers, I sat in bed with a glass of wine, watched our wedding video one last time, and deleted it. I didn't feel free. I didn't feel powerful. I felt empty. But under that emptiness, something else started to bloom. Clarity. I wasn't perfect. I had gotten lost in being a wife, a mother, a scheduler, a cleaner, a peacemaker. But I didn't deserve what he did to me. He chose this. I wasn't surprised. He wore the same button-down shirt he used to wear on networking lunches. I could see the effort he'd put in to look composed. Clean shave. Fresh haircut. Like he could polish over months of lies with one decent outfit. Yeah, and a cheating husband too. Gasps. Heads turned. It was Maya. She had shown up. She was standing in the back next to Kyle, her arms crossed, her face pale, but furious. Maya, louder, how many people here know Kyle Carter had an apartment in Phoenix while living a whole other life in Scottsdale? I bet the school board doesn't know. The room went silent. Kyle tried to hush her. Reached for her arm. She pulled away. Maya, you lied to me. You lied to your wife. You lied to everyone. And now you want to play family man again? I stood up. Everyone was staring. The kids were wide-eyed. I saw the principal quietly signal someone to escort her out. But Maya turned to me before she left. Maya, I'm sorry, Dana. I should have known. I just didn't think he was this good at lying. Then she walked out. The principal tried to brush it off. Said, let's move on, and clapped. No one clapped with him. Kyle just stood there, frozen. His face drained of all color. He didn't come near me after that. He left before the ceremony ended. People talked. Some parents came up to me afterward, pretending not to have heard anything. One mom, Julia, pulled me aside. Julia, you okay? I heard some of it. If you ever need anything, you just call. I thanked her. Another mom, the judgy one, Vanessa, walked past me and muttered, no one really knows their husband, do they? I could have slapped her. But I didn't. I drove home in silence with my son in the back seat, humming like nothing had happened. That was the part that killed me the most. He didn't understand yet. But one day, he would. That night, Kyle texted me. I never meant for things to get this far. I wanted to fix it before it blew up. I didn't reply. Please don't make this worse. I was making it worse? I finally wrote back, you made your choices. Now you live with them. Don't text me again unless it's about the kids. In the days that followed, I felt blank. Like I was walking through fog. There were moments where I felt relief. Like I'd finally escaped something that had been rotting for a long time. Other times, the sadness hit me so hard I couldn't breathe. The divorce is in process. Kyle has moved into the Phoenix apartment. He still sees the kids every other weekend, but they're distant with him. I haven't spoken to Maya again. I think she needed closure like I did, and when she got it, she left. Sometimes I lie in bed and wonder how I missed it. How I let it get so far. But most nights, I sleep better now than I did in the last 5 years of that marriage. I go to yoga classes now as a student. I read again. I'm slowly finding pieces of myself that got buried under wife and mom and fixer. If you ask me today how I'm doing, I won't say great. But I'll say this, I know who I am now. I know what I won't tolerate again. I know the sound of a lie when I hear it. And I know that sometimes, when everything falls apart, it's the first time you can actually see things clearly.